I mean, I guess things change for a reason. Um, I guess the trade is going to go down. I guess we were wrong, and I guess this is going to happen.
We better do it. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Today, so I'm going over some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. A couple things to go over. I know it's a late video today. I meant to put this out earlier, but just didn't have the time to. Want to talk about a few things here. I think number one is going into practice and, seeing players' injuries, seeing if guys are going to be ready by week one. And Nolan Smith practiced for his second day straight, which is good. So he is on track to, he's partially, back right now. So, I mean, he'll be fine. We still got another week and a half, 2 weeks until the season starts. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, we are here. The offseason will be over with. And now we are on to, the New England Patriots and going to Gillette Stadium, that 4:30, 4:25 game, whatever it is. And, Nolan Smith is in the plans for the Philadelphia Eagles for a long time, man. And it's not even because we just only kept 3 linebackers. So not only will he be a pass rusher, an edge rusher, but he will be that off-the-ball linebacker. He will play at the Sam probably sometimes. I'm interested to see what Sean Desai does. Will probably be the most exciting thing going into this first game, which I'm pretty pumped for. So Hassan Reddick seems like he's going to be coming back as well. He'll be back week one, obviously, but he has gotten into pads and doing some work as well. So they're not going to push a lot of players too much the next couple weeks, but we definitely need to, tackle, and we need to be a little physical at practice. And, because there was a lot of preseason games. I understand that a lot of these guys weren't starters, but, the big issue was tackling. And we really, hopefully that's cleaned up by that first game, and we wrap up pretty nicely. So, Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick, getting some glimpses at Albert O, the new tight end, looking just monstrous. It made Tyree Jackson look like it's nothing. This trade was probably one of the biggest steals as of right now. The Eagles filling out their practice squad, and we only had 3 spots available here. We talked about the cornerback from the Chargers, Tywone Mullen, that was undrafted in 2020. The Eagles did sign defensive tackle Thomas Booker and tackle LaRaven Clark, that has played for the Philadelphia Eagles before. So that fills out your practice squad as of right now. The Dallas Goedert contract looks better and better by the day because TJ Hockenson just redid the whole entire market for tight ends, and he got paid $17.1 million a year, and Howie just looks better and better with these contracts every single year. Every time we give an extension, we want to lock a player up, and $14.2 million, Dallas Goedert, and hopefully could stay healthy this year. And I think the tight end room looks very, very good. I mean, obviously the big surprise is keeping 4 tight ends, but Howie Roseman with these contracts, though, you can't ignore it. I mean, it's just been very good, and obviously not, against the cap wise, it's really not affecting us. Even our quarterback being paid right now is not affecting us. $19.5 million from this year to next year. It's an absolute joke. What Howie Roseman is able to do with moving the money around, has done a great job. And Dallas Goedert, obviously is against what they're making per year is 4th, 5th best player there. So Hockenson did reset the market, and just Dallas Goedert, just that contract in general is smelling really good right now. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, there are some rumors as of right now regarding Greg Ward that has come out, and it says that another player Eagles are receiving calls on is Greg Ward. Ward, 28, has proven to be a solid wide receiver depth piece. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they brought him back. I mean, the thing is, they never waived him. They released him. So if you get waived, you have to go through a waiver wire, and you have to go to whatever team picks you up. If you get released, you could do whatever you want. You have you could choose what team you want to sign to. And I was kind of surprised. Like, there were rumors about Greg Ward getting traded, but nothing really came about. I guess maybe this is like another Zach Ertz situation where, look, just come back to the Eagles. We'll bring you back. You'll go through waivers, most likely come back to us, or just not waivers, but we'll bring you back. and come to the practice squad, practice, keep your value up. We'll try to, look for a good spot for you. We'll keep your best interests alive, which they'll go to Greg Ward and be like, all right, these are the few teams that are interested. Where do you think would you like to go? And I think Greg Ward deserves a starting spot. I really do. I think he should be somewhere else. I think he really deserves it. He has given his loyalty to us when he's not even a starter. He got released and came back knowing he's going back to the practice squad. You know what I mean? Like, that's loyalty, which you never get in the NFL. And we had a lot of loyalty signings. James Bradbury could have signed, James Bradbury was going to get 15, 16 million in free agency. We signed for 12, 13. Fletcher Cox could have got an extra $4 or $5 million. He came back for less. Sometimes loyalty isn't great in the NFL because that could be trouble. But when you have it and you believe what you're doing in the culture and everybody is into this culture of what we're doing and what this team is about to prove for another year, it really shows. And Greg Ward has had his loyalty. He's been cut off this team like 6 times. I mean, it's ridiculous. He can play inside receiver, outside receiver. Not the fastest guy either, but his route running and separation is like flawless. He's always been consistent, and I just felt like the Eagles have just never really valued him. That Nick Sirianni has really not ever valued him like Doug Peterson did. You know what I mean? So if they find a spot for him, like I said, this could be a Zach Ertz situation where they're going to be like, look, we'll keep your best interests. We'll let you know what teams are available. We'll get the trade done. Just practice, keep your value up, get ready. They don't want Greg Ward to sit out and do nothing and just train. Like, they want him to be with the team and with his and with his brothers and with his teammates. And, I get that whole factor of like, it makes him look good as well that he's, not sitting out or, being dumb like some players do, but Greg Ward loves this team and there's just no spot because it may look like that. I figured he was going to be a punt returner this year or they're going to try him somewhere else, or I don't know. Obviously, Britton Covey's back, Devin Allen's back. So what room is there for Greg Ward? I mean, they only kept 4 receivers. You know what I mean? It's just, where is their room now? They're keeping more DBs. They're keeping an extra defensive tackle. So there's, some certain positions that obviously they feel very good at receiver. And I feel very good at it too, depending on what happens at wide receiver 3 between Oz and Watkins, because Watkins has missed a lot of time. But, they weren't, I figured they were going to add more receivers. Obviously to the practice squad they did, but at the active roster, and obviously they'll move some guys up. They'll be switching some guys around. It'll happen. So it looks like a trade might happen. And what are you going to get for Greg Ward? I don't know. I'd say, to be honest, because I think he does have value. I think he does. And I think you should get at least I'd say a 5th round pick if you can get it. But, we'll see. We already have 3 5th-round picks next year. So we'll have 4. They already have 10 picks in the 24 draft. So we'll see what happens with this. It's going to be interesting. And then I think lastly, I want to go over the undrafted free agent DBs, okay? And I think this is really important because this has never been, at least I've never seen this before, okay? Between Eli Ricks, Josh Jobe, and Reed Blankenship, Mario Goodrich, and Mekhi Gardner as well. I feel like this is one of those moments. You're talking youth movement. I think Eli Ricks is the most exciting one for me just because, I was just really just rooting for this guy. And this guy just never gave up during all of, the off-season training camp and all that stuff. You had the pick 6 in the Baltimore game. He was covering starters of Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce, sticky coverage, because really his pro day / combine wasn't great. His 40 time wasn't great. He looked really slow, and teams probably just didn't think he was going to be much of anything. But I could tell you, man, the guy is just stuck to your wayside in coverage, and that's what he's been doing against starters especially. And I think that Colts game was a big eye-opener for the Philadelphia Eagles in that front office to keep him around. And I think the best part about Eli Ricks is that he was one of the best cornerbacks in college, but it was a humbling experience for him to come to the NFL and really kind of fight his way back up. And most players would just, give up or just not play as well or feel defeated and let it bring you down. And it didn't bring Eli Ricks down. He just kept fighting and fighting. And I love his pushback mentality, even that Baltimore game where he caught a pick, almost had a second pick, but got a deflection, got in the face of the receiver, of LaCron Treadwell. It was so much fun to watch. I just love his attitude, and you have a future here. Josh Jobe is becoming obviously one of the backups, really the next backup outside guy to Bradbury or Slay. Reed Blankenship, look what he's done at safety. I mean, he hasn't moved from that spot all summer from OTAs to training camp. He has been there, and he was I think played for Tennessee. I think in college he was undrafted, obviously, but Kevin Byard was obviously in front of him in college, and he became a 5-year starter after that. And just look what he turned into. Chauncey goes down, he comes in, they give him a chance, and a nice sample size for Reed last year. And I'm telling you, like this, you hit on I think you have more value hitting on undrafted guys more than guys that are drafted, because then you have a really good scouting department. No joke. If you're making good trades, you're moving money around really nicely, and you're getting undrafted guys, the guys that are barely even getting paid. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like Mickey Gardner's been fantastic, great camp. Mario Goodrich has moved around. I mean, especially at the nickel spot since you lost Zach McPherson. You know what I mean? So you really had to find. So I thought it was going to be between Garner and Goodrich going into like the 6th spot at DB, because I didn't think they were going to keep 7 guys, but I guess it was only because I mean, you had so much talent there. Now the question I have is this, like, going into the rest of these years now, but Slay is only here for another 2 years, so he'll be a free agent after 24. Okay, after the 24 season, he's a free agent. Bradbury's contract counts for this year, 24 and 25, so he'll be a free agent after 25. Okay, you have to look at what you have for the future. I mean, look, I don't think the Eagles are going to pay Slay after this year, next year. I don't. One of these guys should be ready, whether it's Ricks, whether it's at least Ringo or somebody. Obviously, Ringo's not undrafted, so I'm just talking about the undrafted guys, the undrafted free agents right now. Okay, this whole secondary in general. And I think these guys, there's a lot of guys that are a little bit of projects, and there's some guys that seem like they're flashing so much that they're so close. I think Eli Ricks is one of those guys. I think Mario Goodrich is one of those guys. Josh Jobe has been working really hard, this offseason, and has shown that he could play on the outside, So I think there's some good things to take out of the undrafted class here the last couple years, and they have done last few years, they've done a fantastic job so far. And to sign 5 undrafted guys to your roster is just unheard of. And now, if we throw them in a starting game, are they all going to play at a high level? Probably not. But there is some promise, though. I can't promise you that Mario Goodrich is going to be, maybe can take, Avonte Max's place, Even though Avonte Max is a little bit of a liability right now, I think Mario Goodrich could step in there and probably play with a really good defense around him. But Eli Ricks is very, very interesting. And Mickey Gardner is really interesting too, because he can move from safety to corner. They've had him at multiple spots. He's a nice move around piece for the Eagles. I like corners that have safety background, or safeties that have corner background, that could, kind of like that Malcolm Jenkins piece that can move all over the field. And that's why I have to respect out of that a lot. So with this group, undrafted wise, I mean, it's unheard of to have this many, and they've all been showing. The scouting department, Howie Roseman, what they've been seeing, what they've been looking at. And I didn't think Eli Ricks was going to do much of anything. Like, he was like, oh, he didn't give up a touchdown last year. He went from LSU to Alabama. He's got some injury concerns. His pro day or slash combine wasn't great. Speed looked horrible. So I figured, I didn't hear about much from Eli Ricks the whole entire camp, at least half of camp. And then all of a sudden we got to these preseason games and he just lit it up like crazy. So this whole class is definitely exciting. Or these undrafted free agents are exciting to watch and see their growth. And, you could have a starter in a couple of years. Instead of paying a safety, instead of paying a cornerback again, there's a good chance here you have something. There's a very good chance. So I'm pretty excited for it. I hope you guys are going forward. And I feel like this really had to be talked about. Because, like I said, I was so happy that Eli Ricks was just the number one player I was really rooting for to make this roster, and he did. And I know he's going to play a lot of special teams this year. Obviously, we have our starters. A lot of these guys are going to play special teams. I get it. But the future's bright. The future's bright. As long as they can stay healthy, they can get through these off seasons, get through these seasons without injury. You got some good things coming to this team. I think Eli Ricks is the closest cornerback we have that can actually start day one. I mean, seriously. I mean, I understand the Colts shouldn't have anything to rave about that win in Philadelphia, which they shouldn't. But what he did to Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman was just, I mean, that was just crazy. Not even expect that at all. But a nice, promising group here. Reed Blankenship, obviously the best one out of the bunch. I mean, just out of nowhere. I mean, glad they're giving like other guys chances. That's what I like. And Sean Desai loves. I think between the scouting department, getting these guys in the building, and these positional coaches, and to Sean Desai and how to use these guys to their strengths and finding out their strengths and weaknesses, and not setting these players up to fail is probably the number one thing you don't want to do. Which Gannon did a lot of that last year, putting you in a really bad situation for the skill set that you don't have as a player. So I have to respect that a lot from Sean Desai. Very excited to see what this defense looks like going forward into the season. The test starts with him. The first 8 games, don't seem that bad, but obviously there's never an easy game in the NFL when it comes to the Eagles sometimes. But see if they can continue off of last year and be even more unstoppable this year. So other than that, that's pretty much it. And we talked about, obviously, Greg Ward trade. We talked about Dallas Goedert's contract, how it's great, and how Howie Roseman's been doing a good job. We talked about Nolan Smith, second day practicing, getting these guys in the fold a little bit. Hassan Reddick has been at practice in pads, so we're getting there slowly but surely, and hopefully they're tackling better. Hopefully they get a little physical before the game. Hopefully they get a little bit of they're hitting each other a little bit before they play their first regular season game. So I'm hoping for, so we're not, there's going to be rust we have to knock off, obviously. We did it in Detroit game, last year, first game. So there's going to be some rust. I'm not really worried about it too much. Offensively, I'm really not worried about it too much. Defense, some new pieces, and to see how this defense is going to go. So that's it. If you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up? Follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace out.